chromosomes here? X chromosomes and Y chromosomes. X chromosomes is comparatively larger than the Y chromosomes. This is the X chromosome, this is the Y chromosomes, and this region is the non-homologous region. This region is the homologous region. Those genes which are located on the non-homologous region of the sex chromosomes, that gene called sex-linked gene here. And the sex-linked inheritance, what is the sex-linked inheritance here? Inheritance of sex-linked gene. Those genes which are transferred, those gene, that gene which is the X-linked gene or the sex-linked gene which are transferred from parents to their offspring is called sex-linked inheritance. What is sex-linked inheritance? That means sex-linked gene, those genes which are present on the non-homologous region of the X chromosomes and non-homologous region of the Y chromosomes, those genes which are transferred from parents to their offspring is called sex-linked inheritance. And these sex-linked inheritance, there are two types here, that is X-linked gene and Y-linked gene here. X-linked gene, these X-linked gene which are located on the non-homologous region of the X chromosomes, and Y-linked gene, these gene which are located on the non-homologous region of the Y chromosomes. Sex-linked gene, those X-linked gene is also called here sex-linked gene. Y-linked gene is also called here polyandric gene here. These X-linked gene which are located on the non-homologous region of the X chromosomes and Y-linked gene which are located on the non-homologous region of the Y chromosomes here. Then it is these X-linked gene which are these X-linked gene corresponding gene on Y chromosomes which is not present. X-linked gene, that corresponding genes which are not present on the Y chromosomes here. Those genes which are present on the non-homologous region of the X chromosomes, those corresponding genes which are not present on the Y chromosomes here. Then in female condition here, in female there are XX chromosomes. In female, XX chromosomes. In female, there are two recessive genes are required for its expression of the sex-linked trait. In female, there are two recessive genes are required. Those genes which are present on the one X chromosomes on the non-homologous region, and that corresponding gene, that corresponding recessive genes which are present on the another X chromosomes here, and that two recessive genes which are both express their trait. But for example, color blindness, their color blindness which is capital C is the dominant trait and the small c which is the recessive trait here. Here, if or in female, two recessive genes are required because when females show the totally recessive trait phenotypically totally expressed, there are required two recessive genes which are corresponding present on the two chromosomes here. That is the X-linked gene, which is also called sex-linked gene here. And the examples of the sex-linked examples here, the color blindness, which is the example of the X-linked inheritance, hemophilia, which is another example of the X-linked inheritance, and that muscular dystrophy, which is also one of the example, and the myopia, which is another example of this X-linked gene here. Then Y-linked gene here, Y-linked gene, which is also called the polyandric gene. It is located on the non-homologous region, and Y-linked gene are inherited directly male to male. Y-linked gene, these gene, whatever may be this gene present on the Y chromosomes or Y chromosome, that non-homologous region, that region of the Y chromosomes, these genes are inherited directly from male to male here. Because of there is no corresponding gene or present on the X chromosomes, that's why it inherited directly from male to male. An example is the hypertrichosis. The excessive growth or more growth which are present on the pinna of the ear. कानावर जे मोठे मोठे केस होतात हे फक्त मेल मधले एक वन ऑफ द एक्झाम्पल आहे, and that is called the hypertrichosis. बऱ्याच ह्यूमन बीइंग मध्ये माणसांमध्ये काय दिसून येतं, कानावर लांब लांब असे केस आलेले दिसून येतात, and that is called the hypertrichosis here. And this inherited trait male to male here, and that's why it is the Y-linked gene. These Y-linked gene inherit to male. This is the sex-linked inheritance. Then we see the example of the sex-linked inheritance. So, example here, which is the example of the color blindness here. This example or this color blindness, which is the one of the example of the X-linked recessive or X-linked recessive disorder here. This X-linked recessive disorder because of recessive X-linked gene here. Because of recessive X-linked gene, that is X c, that gene which is responsible for the color blindness. But when it is responsible, it is in the homozygous recessive in condition. It is homozygous recessive in condition. In that condition, female, that is X chromosomes, when two genes are here, the recessive genes, that is the small c, this condition, which is the X-linked recessive disorder here. This condition, that is the X small c, that female show the color blindness here. And in male, here male called, that is the hemizygous recessive condition here. That is the hemizygous recessive condition. There are only one X chromosome is present, and that chromosome there are recessive gene of the color blind, that is the small c, and there is no corresponding allele which are present on the Y chromosomes here. That's why this condition is called the hemizygous recessive condition. And what is hemizygous recessive condition? Because the male have only one X chromosomes is present here, and only one gene, and not the another gene copy which are present on the another chromosomes here. That's why this condition, which is the hemizygous recessive condition here. In that trait, this female and male show the color blindness here. This color blindness, which is the X-linked recessive disorder, because of X-linked gene which are correspond to the color blindness blindness or responsible for the color blindness here. It prevent and what in that person, that is the color blindness person, that person do not distinguish red and green color here. That red and green color person appears, or person which is that red and green colors, it look like a gray color here. They do not distinguish that red and green color. लाल आणि हिरव्या रंगामध्ये ते फरक ओळखू शकत नाहीत आणि ते रंग त्यांना ग्रे कलर सारखे दिसतात. अशा प्रकारचे जे डिसऑर्डर आहे, or they do not that is the appear, or they do not distinguish, or they do not see the proper color of that various color shades here. This is the color blindness. And what in that gene prevent these recessive X-linked gene that prevent or stop the formation of the color sensitive cell in the eye. That color sensitive cell which is called the cone cells. These cone cells which are present in the retina of eye, and these cone cells, the formation of these cone cells which stop, and which gene stop this formation of the sensitive cells and the formation of the cone cells, that is recessive X-linked gene. हा जीन काय करतो, जे कलर सेन्सिटिव्ह सेल्स आहेत डोळ्यांमधल्या त्यांचं फॉर्मेशन स्टॉप करतो किंवा त्याच्यामध्ये डिसऑर्डर निर्माण करतो. त्यामुळे कलर ब्लाइंडनेस हा डिसऑर्डर निर्माण होतो. अशा प्रकारचा हे कलर ब्लाइंडनेस आहे. that is this color blindness, that is the recessive X-linked gene which prevent, which stop the formation of the color sensitive cells, because these cone cells are very important for the color vision to our eye. These cone cells which is the photoreceptor cells, these cone cells which is the photoreceptor cells, and these photoreceptor cells which are show the various color visions here, and that formation of the color sensitive cells that stop because of the X-linked gene, that is the X small c. Here the male and the female condition, the normal color blind here, the normal which is XX capital C which is the normal. Sorry, here the male first we giving here, that is the X capital C and Y here, because of the male, and female X capital C, it is the normal condition. This is the normal condition. Then color blind condition in male here, X small c and Y. It is the color blind condition. In female, color blind, that is the small c and another X which is also small c. This is the color blind female here. This is the genotype of the female color blind. This is the genotype of the male color blind. Then the carrier which is not present in the male present only normal and the color blind. There are no carrier because of only do not present corresponding gene on the Y chromosomes here. Female which are the carrier, that is one capital C here and another which is the small c here, which is the carrier. This is the genotype of the color blind male and female. Then we see the crisscross condition or the example of the color blind here. If we see one of the example here, when color blind female, when married with normal vision of male here, when color blind female, when married with colorblind female colorblind male married with normal female. Normal here, that is the capital C, and the colorblind here, gamete X small c, Y, X capital C, X capital C. When these gametes are fused with each other, these XC, we given here first, that is the capital here because of the C is the dominant, and X small c. Then when these are crossed with this, which is also X capital C, X small c here, then when this is crossed with or fused with, that is the X capital C, Y, and here also X capital C, Y here. These 50% daughters are here the normal. 50% daughters are here the carrier. Normal vision, but the carrier person here, carrier. And here the 50% son are the normal vision. 50% son are the normal vision because of the capital C, and here 50% daughter are the carrier here. When these carrier female we crossed with, that is normal person, carrier female here. Carrier means one capital C, one small c. When married with normal man, here we see the gamete formation here. Capital C, one is the small c, X capital C and Y here. Then the gamete when fused with each other here, these X capital C will fuse with this X capital C here. Then this X capital C fuse with Y, that is, then this X capital C and X small c, then this X small c and Y here. This is the small c, and right here the another color here, the small c. Here this is the normal female. Normal female. Normal male. Carrier female. And color blind because of the only small c. Color blind male. Here that is the 25% normal female, 25% normal male, carrier female, that is the 25%, and the color blind male here, the 25% here. This is the F1 generation. This is the F2 generation here. We see in that F2 generation here, the son or the male here, which is the color blind trait here. This condition is called the criss-cross condition here. Criss-cross condition means that the father which transfer, here we giving the color blind male. Color blind sex-linked disorder which are inheritance from father to his grandson through his daughter is called the criss-cross condition. Criss-cross means in Marathi wakda tikda. Male to male, not transfer here, male to male and male. Here male, then daughter, and then transfer male here. That condition is called the criss-cross condition. Then we see the next example of the hemophilia. The next example of X-linked recessive disorder here, that is the hemophilia. Hemophilia, which is also one of the condition, which is the X-linked recessive disorder, that is also called the bleeder's disease. Why it is called bleeder's disease? Because the person who have hemophilia, that persons stop the blood clotting here. That is, the person coagulate of blood very slowly or which falls to blood here, stop here. ज्या पर्सनला हिमोफिलिया झालेला आहे त्या पर्सनला जर एखादी इंजुरी वगैरे झाली आणि जर इंजुरीमुळे जर रक्त वाहत असेल तर ते रक्त लवकर स्टॉप होत नाही, ते तसंच वाहत राहतं. And that condition is called the hemophilia condition, and that is also called the bleeder's disease, which coagulation of blood which is very slowly or the coagulation of blood is stopped here. That condition is called the hemophilia. Those person which are the hemophilia person, that person's blood, these two factors here, the factors, that is the 8 and 9 factors here, which factor 8 which is the anti-hemophilic factors, and factor 9 here, the plasma thromboplastin component here, that is called the PTC, or it is also called the Christmas factor. Christmas factor. These two factors are absent in that the hemophilic persons, and that's the reason blood which is not coagulate or blood which is not clot here, रक्त गोठण्याची क्रिया होत नाही किंवा खूप हळूहळू slowly होते. अशा प्रकारची ही जी कंडिशन आहे, that condition is called the hemophilia here, and because of these two factors which are absent in that hemophilic person, and because of this is the X-linked inheritance, and that genes which are also present in the X chromosomes here, that is the hemophilic person which is the recessive trait here, that's why it is the small h here, the recessive, and the dominant trait here over that condition, that is the capital H here. And that's why when we see the normal male and the female here, male, female, here normal male here, that is the X capital H, Y, female normal because of the dominant here, capital H, and hemophilic, that is the carrier here, X capital H, Y here. These two are, and these two are the carrier female, that is the 50% carrier daughter here. 50% carrier. And this is the 50% normal male, or the son here, and the daughter. When these carrier female, which is crossed with normal male carrier, because of that carrier, this is not diseased, only carrier here, that is crossed with normal here.